January 3rd, 2019, Surviving R. Kelly airs. Did you see all six? It's a six-part series. Did you see all of it?
I don't know if I saw all of it, but I saw enough.
And you thought?
That was the spirit of conviction came over me during that moment.
And when you say the spirit of conviction, what do you mean by that?
Somehow I felt responsible that he was able to hurt so many more people.
Okay, tea sippers, grab your mugs because the tea today isn't just hot, it's historic. For over 20 years, the world knew her only as Jane Doe or Sparkle's niece. She was the face at the center of the most infamous tape in music history. But today, she is reclaiming her name. Reshona Landfair has finally stepped out of the shadows, and she is dropping bombshells that are setting the internet on fire. We're talking about a new memoir, Who's Watching Shorty? A sit-down interview with CBS and a family feud that has been simmering since 1990-something. We're going to look at why she lied for him in 2008, the secret payments alleged by her aunt Sparkle, and how R. Kelly used the Godfather title to groom a 13-year-old child right under her parents' noses. This is the deep dive you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. So let's take it back to the mid-90s. Reshona wasn't just some random girl. She was a talented artist in a rap group called For the Cause. Her aunt, the R&B singer Sparkle, was working closely with R. Kelly. Now, here is where it gets messy. In her new book, Reshona reveals that Sparkle actually told her, and I quote, "The next time we're at the studio, you should ask Robert to be your godfather." But it wasn't just a question. Sparkle allegedly told her to sit on his lap and rub his head while asking. She was only 13. Kelly agreed, and suddenly, he wasn't just a mentor, he was family. He had access. He started analyzing her, watching her go through puberty, and using that Godfather title as a shield. Tea sippers, we see this all the time in the industry. The uncle or godfather label is used to lower the parent's guard. While Sparkle claims she was trying to help her niece's career, Reshona is now looking back at that moment as the start of the grooming process. Fast forward to 2001, Reshona is about to turn 17 when Robert drops a bomb on her. He tells her the tape exists.
Hope this camera keep going.
No, we're gonna let the camera keep rolling.
This is not, doesn't even make sense. Why would I hold all these women? Their mothers and fathers told me, we're gonna destroy your career.
Not only does it exist, but it's being sold bootleg on the streets of Chicago. Can you imagine being 16 years old and a grown man tells you the world is about to see you at your most vulnerable when you were only 14? Reshona described herself as feeling empty and hollow, but here's the part that really grinds my gears. Kelly decides the solution is to tell her parents. He brings them into separate rooms. Reshona's dad, Greg Landfair, comes out of the room crying hysterically, calling Kelly sick. But then, Kelly gets on his knees. He's crying, saying, "I'm sorry, I just love her." And this is where the manipulation really took hold. Kelly threatened suicide. He told Reshona and her parents that they were safer with him than against him. He convinced them that if they turned on him, the whole world would hate them for ending R. Kelly. Now we have to talk about the 2008 trial. This is the part that still leaves people divided. R. Kelly was acquitted on all 14 counts of child pornography. Why? Because the victim, Reshona, and her parents refused to testify that it was her on the tape. Reshona now admits she lied to the grand jury in 2002. She says she was brainwashed. But Sparkle stood 10 toes down. She testified against Kelly, risking her entire career. And what happened? The Landfair family cut Sparkle off. Sparkle has always alleged that the family was paid off. We found receipts showing that Reshona's father, Greg, played guitar on 4 R. Kelly albums, including 2 that came out after Kelly was charged. Sparkle believes they were choosing the industry big shot over their own daughter's justice. Reshona's parents, Val and Greg, allegedly told Sparkle, he'd never do that, he's her godfather. They buried their heads in the sand while their daughter was living in what Sparkle called a hip-hop playboy mansion. While the trial was a win for Kelly, it was a lifelong trauma for Reshona. Because she didn't come forward as a victim, the world treated the tape like a joke. We all remember the Chappelle's Show skits and the Boondocks. Reshona says this was the hardest part to digest. She wasn't seen as a child who was exploited, she was a mockery. Her body was being displayed and tossed around as a punchline. It's a heavy reminder that when we participate in cancel culture or meme culture, there is often a real human being behind the screen who is suffering. Reshona had to internalize all of that shame for 2 decades while Kelly continued to walk free and make hits. Of course, Sparkle had to speak on this new interview. She released a statement saying she's relieved Reshona is speaking her truth, but she shut down the grooming allegations fast. Sparkle says any suggestion she enabled harm is untrue and deeply hurtful. She points out that she was the one who called DCFS. She was the one who lost her career for telling the truth. Meanwhile, R. Kelly's lawyers are playing it cool. They put out a statement saying they haven't read the book yet, but Kelly wishes her success and peace. It's very PR coded, isn't it? They don't want to mess with her book sales, but they aren't admitting to anything either. So, tea sippers, the question of the day, why now? Some people say she's only talking because the money dried up and Kelly is finally behind bars, but I want to offer a different perspective. Reshona is now 41 years old. She's a mother to a 5-year-old boy. Sometimes it takes becoming a parent yourself to realize how badly you were failed by the adults in your life. She started a nonprofit called Project Refine to mentor young girls so they don't end up in her shoes. Whether you think she's late to the party or not, her story is hers to tell. It's a cautionary tale for every parent about the dangers of celebrity worship and Godfather labels. What do you guys think? Do you blame the parents more than Kelly? Is Sparkle really a hero, or was she involved in the early stages? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.
Reshona Landfair, also known as Jane Doe #1 in the R. Kelly trial, is coming forward to identify herself as the little girl who was in the infamous R. Kelly tape. In this interview with CBS, she explains why she denied being the little girl in the video during the 2008 trial where R. Kelly was acquitted. Once we watch the video, I'll come back and detail her interview with Rolling Stone where she explains all of her family members and the other adults' involvement.
Why not tell the truth in 2002 or 2008 when there was finally a trial after 6 years?
That's one of my biggest regrets, not telling the truth. But again, when I have been trained and groomed since I was age 13, I started believing the lies that I was telling. It was very foggy and unclear on what I really felt versus what was right or what was wrong.
In the Rolling Stone interview, Reshona talks about how her aunt Sparkle, who was one of R. Kelly's proteges and an R&B singer at the time, had introduced Reshona and her family to R. Kelly when Reshona was 12 years old. She explains that her family was so excited because they thought they would have financial freedom, and that Sparkle suggested that she ask R. Kelly to be her godfather at the age of 12, to which he responded yes, and then she sat on his lap and rubbed his head. She then explains that things began to escalate when she was 13 years old, and R. Kelly would have secret phone calls with her where he would tell her that she needed to call him daddy. She says that at first her parents were unaware of what was going on between her and R. Kelly, but she saw herself as R. Kelly's girlfriend, and then her aunt Sparkle, the R&B singer, began to get suspicious and called Child Protective Services. Her parents then went on to ask her if what Sparkle was saying was true, and she denied it, and her parents just accepted the denial. Now, something important to note, which Sparkle did share in the documentary about R. Kelly, is that Reshona's father worked for R. Kelly. And though over time people became aware of what was happening between Reshona and R. Kelly, they felt like there was nothing they can do about it because R. Kelly had too much control and he was controlling their finances, and it basically went to him holding her hostage. Fast forward to the infamous tape coming out in 2002. She was 17 years old at the time, and she had already been under R. Kelly's thumb for so long where she was being held hostage. She said it felt like being imprisoned in home. Lastly, she talked about the abuse that she endured with R. Kelly and says that during the trial in 2008, the adults that were around also let her down by not being honest about what was happening to her and what had happened to her and the fact that she was in the tape. She's now coming out with a memoir to share her story.